Today is May 21st, and we are at the St. Paul's Children's Garden looking at their new school bus and enjoying the harvest of the spring goods. Mark is taking seeds, and Mary and Jack are collecting peas. And look at our ryegrass. Oh my goodness, we're going to have lots of seed. That is going to be great mulch. We're going to rototill that in. And I think we decided to put peanuts there. And our wildflowers, I should say Helene's wildflowers, because this is very much Helene's project, are just spectacular. And this is no small feat. We had an echinacea that has perennialized here, and we're all very impressed with it, and its seeds every year and gives us something to share with the kids. But this is a relatively new arrival. I think it's maybe in its second, maybe the beginning of its third year now. But last year was when we really went at it to see if we could get something that would naturalize. And boy, has it. We see larkspur and sweet William and cosmos, and we are all going to ask Barb to help us identify some of the blue flowering annuals. Blue plants in a very hot, humid environment are hard to grow. And many of the blue summer flowering plants just wilt away by July. And even the blue foliaged plants don't do so well here. So most of us have given up growing blue plants, and Barb knows about wildflowers. So we're going to ask her to help us identify them. I have identified something. Mark, come talk about this. Helene is going to tell us about something first. Oh, a marigold. Starting, yes. There are marigold seeds.
They will be all around the outside.
I think it's soil temperatures. We're a little bit cool and we're stupidly dry. But Mark, come look at this.
Where you going?
Certain pests like dry weather, and one of them is...
spittlebug.
So, what do we know, Joe? What do you know about spittlebugs?
Wash them off.
Get rid of them. Just get rid of them.
Yeah.
So it becomes like a beetle-y looking thing that comes out later. This is the baby stage of it, right?
Little black.
With a red
They
stripe.
look like snap beetles.
Yes, that's exactly right. They look like a snap beetle, and they have a red band on them.
Yeah, I
and
think two of them.
they're
Two
yep,
bands.
Yep. And that's the adult version. And this is what
This is
stage?
the egg sac.
This is an egg sac, huh?
It is an egg sac, and they'll go into larva, and then they'll eat,
Yeah.
and then they fly away, and they eat again on
They're
other
different
plants.
Yes, they definitely have. We've seen them really damage some plants in the
Was
past.
it his eyes?
I'm trying to remember. I want to say that it
What
was
his
maybe
ears?
I want to say maybe it was holly. I think we've seen them in the
I
spittle
love
stage
seeing
on
them alone.
junipers.
They
Yes.
eat grass. They eat all kinds of things. So if you see that,
We know that this is a non-beneficial insect, and this is their nursery. And isn't that the most interesting thing? Do you know anything about the biology of how that happens, Mark? What they make?
No, you mean the life cycle?
No, I mean like how they make that spit. What is that?
Oh, it's their spit.
Yeah, well, that's good. Is it pee? Is it poo? What is it?
Their spit.
It's really their spit. It's
They're
saliva.
called
It's
spittle
okay. Stop. Is it the
And it
parent that
comes out
made
of their
that?
mouth.
Is the parent that made that and then put
Yes.
the eggs in it?
And then they lay the eggs.
Okay, so it really is. It's a saliva
And
based.
for what I know, they could lay the eggs and then cover it. I'm not sure.
Okay, but what you were saying though, that this is the adult's spit that is protecting the eggs that are underneath,
Right,
and
yes.
that's what that is.
100%.
100%. Okay, we'll hold you to it, Mark. And then who
That's
do we
a
have
fly.
here? A fly.
That's a
This is a
fly.
common house fly. Okay, so let's go back to the garden. Thank you for that
Sure,
moment
no
of
problem.
entomology. But can we cry over our pathetic? These potatoes, this is the variety of potato. This is my bad. I strayed away from the ones that we know are tried and true and just happened to save these. And they have not succeeded in more than 50% here. So in our garden at our Antioch, or at our New Street property, they all came up and they all became diseased and have fared very badly. Like, I worry about even leaving them in the ground. And at the Antioch property, most of them did well. They came late, They're a little on the small side, but they're growing there. Don't have any rhyme or reason for this. So we're going to go back to Pontiac Red. That is a very tried and true in this region. So if you want to grow potatoes next year, this is Irish potatoes, go with Pontiac Red, Yukon Gold. They both do pretty well. So we have flowers. We have flowers and flowers and flowers. And these are some of the herbs that are flowering. And the garlic is about to flower. And the feverfew is flowering. And the comfrey has already flowered once. And it will send up new stalks that are about to flower for a second time. Look at this. The herbs are fabulous for bees because there's always something flowering. And if we look behind the herbs, we can see the peas. This has been a tremendously fruitful pea year. We've stayed cool. Our soil temperatures have not gotten warm. Our overnight temperatures, we're in the 80s today, but we're going into the 50s tonight. And that's unusual. This area usually snaps into summer warm with nights in the 60s and days in the upper 80s. And by the time we're towards the end of May, coming on Memorial Day weekend, it's a couple weeks out still, but it's getting close, 10 days or so. We're not used to having nights that are this cool. Not that anybody's complaining from a comfort standpoint. Our sage has bloomed, but for the plants, it becomes a little bit challenging for them to come into the next season. So we're going to be late with some of the things that we would normally have planted in the ground already. And the things that we would have expected to have harvested and been well on our way out are really just coming to their harvest. So the beans are fruitful. Again, an unsuccessful year with beets unless you just want to eat the greens. Just not a plant that I have favored or that has favored me. So here's where you can see some of the heat and some of the dry. And yep. Are we leaving them for seed? Is that what we're going to do, Jack?
That's what Helene suggested.
Yeah, Jack and I were both just saying the same thing, that some of them have gotten dry, they've gotten a little bit old, but I think mostly it's dry. And so we're seeing at the base of the plant some of the symptoms of that. But look at that harvest that's coming in. And that is probably, maybe not even a sixth maybe of what we're going to pull in. And Mary's been taste testing them for us too to show us how delicious they are.
I volunteered.
And they are delicious. Now these are shelling peas, so you can dry these peas, you can freeze these peas. This is what you would think of when you get frozen peas at the grocery store or peas out of a can. This is the kind of pea that is.
Oh, and they're nice and sweet, and so is the shell.
Yes, and so they're really, you can actually, if you're eating them raw, just munch on the whole thing. And
it's like candy.
like candy, she's right, that's true. Yes, it's nature's candy. So we had pretty flowers for the bees and good food for the people and some food for the earth in our cover crops. And Mark, we're going to talk about the seeds for a minute.
What?
The seeds.
Okay.
So Mark is collecting. Now look, that, my dear, is a ladybug.
That's a ladybug.
And I'm going to go look for the bean beetle. So we've got a potato beetle, rather. Yeah. Now, so we're all about bugs today, I guess. Now, that was a very red insect. And Colorado potato beetle, Mark is taking a guess at. But it's truly a non-beneficial beetle because it was orange. And where did we see it? It was on one of the plants here. It knows we're coming, so it's moved. But it was an orange-colored beetle. And I'm not seeing it. It would have been nice to compare. Looked exactly like a ladybug, except for it's orange. And then we came across the real authentic thing. So the radishes are such pretty flowers. Again, we've got lots of stuff going on that's just good looking. Helene is getting us ready for Memorial Day and the season.
These last all season, by the way.
These are, yes, we love these. These are put out every year. She dresses our garden up. And let's talk about the pest. Yeah, okay, so go on, talk about it a bit.
Well, birds like to come and get seeds or produce. This scares them away. And if any rabbits were to go under the fence, it would scare them away too.
The wind really does make those things twirl and move. We have a very light breeze and they're moving. And it is definitely, again, when you want to think about barriers to pests that don't involve death or poison,
Right.
it's nice to have fences and these contributing whirly gigs. I guess they are.
Patriotic as well.
And well, that's where I was going initially because that's Memorial Day and that's 4th of July and we're getting ready for summer.
Flag Day.
And Flag Day as well.
Labor Day. Did you tell them about the
Labor Day
tomato?
too. No, I've only gotten as far as these flowers that I was commenting on and then realized. So, let's talk.
We had 3 tomato plants in here in cages last year. Two were different types of tiny cherry tomatoes.
Yes.
Similar to the seeds that the children received.
Yes, the Matt's Wild. Yes, I think one of them, were they Matt's Wild? Wasn't one of
I
them?
think one of them was,
Yeah.
And lo and behold, when I was here this morning, I found 2 volunteer tomato
Oh,
plants.
so this
And
tells
here
us
is
our
one of
soil
them.
temperatures are coming up. That's
There's
terrific. Look at that.
that's
You found
probably
a second one?
Yes, it's over here.
So,
It's sneaky. This is where you.
oh my, that's
Look
quite
at
the
it.
little tomato. That's
did.
robust. Okay, so we definitely have 2 because we have 2 varieties in these locations. It could have gone from one place to another, but
And then you have
we'll
the
let it
bigger one
grow.
in the middle.
We had the yellow. We had a yellow one here that
We're
was
going to let them grow and then move 'em
Hartman's
into this
gooseberry.
If we have to move them a little later, just to.
And
yeah, that's perfect. And so we've got more peas.
here's one of the pods where it's
Oh,
has already
great.
started
So
to
this is
dry.
where we're going to be actually saving them for seed. Now that's got to go a little bit further before you can save it for seed, but they'll all dry. I think from the time they're harvested, they'll dry.
Yep.
Terrific. Now, so the question was, when we make pea soup and when we do dried peas, we're assuming it's this shelling variety that's then split and that then you,
Oh, yeah.
that's
Then
what we're
you
using?
Use the immersion blender and make your split pea soup.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay, all right. So you heard it from the chef. So over here we have other herbs too. We've got peppermint that's growing abundantly, and we have chives that have flowered and done their thing, more garlic on the end. This is the violet. It's a little bit late for its flowers. They came earlier, but it's come back strong. We did not have the lemon balm come back, and that was over here. And I would like to put some yarrow in down there. So we have 2 more herb varieties to add that we'll do this year. The sage wintered over and is a very happy camper. We will see about collecting some seed from that. So when you think about your flowering salvias, these are all in the mint family. They have nice square stems, and they are very similar when you think about the ones that you buy ornamentally in the store. And this one has a tremendous aromatic leaf. The best use of sage is in local raw honey. You make sage honey, and if you ever have any kind of sore throat or just you want an excuse to eat something really good, sage honey is delicious. Most of the herbs, when they are in honey, become beautiful, beautiful honeys to flavor tea with, and they have medicinal components. The feverfew is known for migraines. It's usually the kind of lore that one generation passes on to another, but we're kind of removed from some of that thought, and we lose the understanding of what parts of the plant are useful to us. And feverfew will definitely, as a decoction, it can be used. That means when you heat it up and boil it, and then you have the liquor, the water that has an infusion or a decoction of the plant's medicinal components. Lots of the constituents of the plants will move into the water. But the way you would prevent headache is you actually eat the foliage. And I've heard this for years, and I don't get migraines, but when you get migraines, you don't take this when you have a migraine, you use it preventatively. And every day you put it in a place by your back door or by where you park your car. Every day you pick a little piece and you eat a little piece. And I will tell you, it is the most bitter tasting. It is way up there in the bitters. So you'll have to acquire a taste for it. But if you have migraines and you really have that kind of headache, you would eat something bitter if it could stop them from coming. And it's a wonderful, generous bloomer and seeder. First time Barb saw this, I was growing them, and I was at a function and I was giving little plants to people, and she said, "Jennifer, that's a weed." I said, "Yes, but it's a pretty one and a useful one." So we are going to plan today what's coming in the garden next. And this summer we will have beans galore if they don't get sick with, well, they don't get infested with aphids or sick with any foliar disease. Those are the ones that are climbing are the pole beans that are the lima beans. They're a calico lima bean. And then these are Blue Lake, and boy, they're robust, and everything looks really good. I think Helene put some cottonseed meal here, so everything's well fertilized, and we're going to work the other side of the fence in the next week or so for some more flowers. So we're trying to create a framework of pollinators, and I don't know that we ever talked to Mark about collecting the lettuce seed, but that's what he's doing. And we're hard to part with this cabbage that's such a pretty color. The red lettuce is not quite ready to be harvested. The seed is just starting to set, but the green lettuce has set a lot of seed, and lettuce seed is a seed that's very short-lived. Only keep lettuce seed for about a year, and so you want to make sure you pull some every year, because the seed from 2 years ago is not going to work. And something else that didn't work so well was the lettuce we seeded. Speaking of seeding, I think it was dry. It was just so dry that malaffected everything we tried to seed in the first parts of spring in March and April. So, oh my goodness, do we have water? Or are you... I see, and there's a beautiful one up here.
That's the original.
But you have to tell me about why you're using it to collect the hose.
I have 200 feet of hose now.
Okay, so this is your...
just to get
This is your... All right, so Helene is handling for us the watering, and she has a spigot bib that the school has provided and gotten functional for her, and that's over here by the door.
Yep.
Okay, and then this is where you're taking the hose from. You're storing it in the bin, in the rain barrel.
Right, because it's
There's no rain.
It's too much for the hose.
Yeah, that was a really good idea. So you can just...
buy another 50 feet, because 150 feet only goes to about there. And if we're going to have the outside stuff, things planted, I can't reach it all.
I would say we need an oscillating sprinkler that we set up and we go over. And I know that's not the best for the vegetables, but we're not going to be able to water the periphery of this. Are you going to try and water the periphery?
It doesn't take that long.
So wait. How about a soaker hose? Let's get a soaker hose. We'll run a soaker hose around the periphery. You'll hook the hose up to it, go shopping, come back and turn it off.
Yeah, you can do that.
I think that's the way, yeah. We're trying to be as labor-free as possible, and I cannot imagine no.
Please, God, give us rain.
Yeah. Well, Roundup and pine straw will start to look really good if you have to drag that much hose around.
And even though I watered this morning, we're putting in some black-eyed Susan transplants, so I have one of those.
These, yes, when we're actually putting some plants in. And I have some plants to bring. I was talking about some herbs I want to add. So we will be doing some watering, and this is a huge and valiant process. Thank you. I think we're going to sign off and say that's all for now from the St. Paul's Children's Garden and their new school bus. Goodbye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Next week, seeds will be delivered, some special surprise ones.
Yes, the kids are finishing school. We're going to send them home. We'll go ahead and do a little bit of a information piece on what we've sent home with the kids over the year. All right. Goodbye, everyone.